all for joining me today. And for, the third time, I do apologize. The background is green. Thought I was going to be on top of that today, and probably could have if I didn't wake up just minutes before 10 a.m. So I guess I needed some sleep. I was in the dream realm doing some work. Addendum, praying for the environment. We will have Uni Brunch. Let's do some announcements. Uni Brunch will be happening after this. If you want to talk to other Unicult members, you want to see what the community is like, you see some people in the chat that you think are so cool, we will have Uni Brunch, and that link will be posted underneath this video. So I will edit this video once I'm done to include that link, and so give me a second to do that. But if you want to join Uni Brunch, it's a great place every Sunday. You're praying for justice for all. You've been praying for a really long time. Yeah, it's a lot to align on a planet that's so dark and so confused about what true justice is. So our announcements are that Unicult is still doing amazing work right now. If you are interested in joining Unicult, you get to join an incredible community of people who are working every day to make the world a brighter and more hopeful place. We have, there's a bluebird outside. We have covens and D&D and crystal clubs, and we're writing stories right now. If you want to write a story for kids, you want to help brainwash some little kids with some Uni-Kids work, we have so much beautiful stuff and creativity flowing in Unicult right now. It's very, very, very exciting. Uni-Pets is a whole world right now. So we're just very excited about that. Let's see, I'm gonna see if I can just block this person. No, I can't, that's fine. I'll just ignore them. No big deal. Okay, today we're gonna be talking about joy. And this is from the second chapter. We're going through the chapters of Fundamentals of Unicult right now. The second chapter is joy. It's a very short chapter, which is funny considering the importance of the role that that joy plays in our lives as Unicultists. And I think I'll just read this short chapter since it's less than a page long, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, thank you all for joining. It's my honor. I would be very bored if none of you were here, and I would still be doing this. I can't stop, but it does mean the world to me that you're all here praying for the better world and understanding what we're all trying to do here in Unicult, and lifting your voices and using your hands to work toward a better world. Obviously, the world right now is in very much need of joy, and Unicult really does have the answers. That's why I'm here on this planet. So when asked what Unicult is, many members will respond with, Unicult is a collaborative effort dedicated to the promotion of joy. Joy is simple. It's the opposite of wanting to die. It's experiencing the fullness of life. It's getting lost in moments of experience. In Unicult, we define joy as any authentic emotion. Good morning. So think about that. How does joy mean any authentic emotion? We'll talk about that. All emotion can be beneficial if properly understood and addressed. Depending on where you're at on the path to joy, joy can look differently. If you are just coming out of societal and family expectation, joy might look a lot like doing what you want to do, even if other people wouldn't approve. It might look like authentic sadness or authentic rage. Initially, finding joy is about recognizing the honest emotions and desires of your heart. As you grow, you will cease to experience detrimental emotions, and instead you'll only experience the detrimental ones. Instead only experience the beneficial ones. I'm getting distracted by this conversation with the trolls. Focusing on this, hang on. You will learn to see all of life as joy in the highest and happiest sense. The transition may take months, years, or a lifetime to achieve, and the time frame is dependent on your determination and your ability to believe in a new reality. As long as your goal is to live in a state of near constant joy, you are dedicated to exploring authentic emotions, you are following Unicult ideology. So there's a couple really important aspects in there that I think we can talk about. And the first is that joy is all authentic emotion. Why do we say that? Why do we use the word joy? Unicult is a translation of New Age ideology into a more pop culture one. It's a way for everyone to understand these ideas without getting into metaphysics, without getting into quantum physics, without getting into too much wacky stuff. We try to explain all of this stuff very clearly and try to explain it in a way that makes sense to anyone. You don't have to have any background to understand what joy is. In Unicult, we talk about joy to talk about a higher vibrational reality. And so we talk about the idea that we are vibrational beings of energy, which is true, and we get to experience the different variations of this energy based on our emotional reality. So as we are in a lower, what we call dense vibration, this is all kind of more new age stuff. If you're sad, if you're depressed, if you're angry, these are all lower density emotions. And there's nothing wrong with those, and we actually, if they're authentic, if they're coming from your heart, we actually include that in joy. What Unicult really strives to do is turn away from the idea of falsity, the idea of inauthenticity, because falsity and inauthenticity, lying and pretending to be something you're not, these are all hindrances on your path to joy. This is the idea that you would not be able to actually shine the unique light that you are meant to shine. So you have incarnated as an entirely unique being. In Unicult, we obviously honor the uni prefix, and your unique energy is divine. It is the diversity of each of our unique energies that aligns us with the most harmonic frequency possible. If you've noticed on Earth, we all attempt to fit into these boxes. We try to be appreciated and approved by society by checking certain boxes, by identifying ourselves in ways that other people can understand. We have such a limited ability of understanding other people's unique energy that we put so much onto contorting and controlling everyone's behavior to fit into a certain pre-established way, which isn't authentic. In Unicult, we talk a lot about how this inauthenticity is actually one of the most detrimental things on Earth, because in not following your heart, you are simply moving out of alignment from your potential for joy, and you are living in an alternate reality which is not aligned with truth. Any reality which is not aligned with truth isn't real. You actually have created an entirely false reality that is never going to allow you to align fully with your true light, with the highest light of divinity. It's never going to allow your heart to be expanding in that pure state of joy. The reason why we focus on joy so much is because we have very little ability on this planet to control our realities. The truth is that things happen to us, we think we want something, it gets taken away, we go after this, we go after that, we think everything's fine, then a pandemic happens. There's so much that's going on because there's so many energies that play here. We ourselves can create our realities to a degree, and the aspect of our ability to create our realities comes completely from our ability to tune into our own joy and our own harmony. The strongest power you have in your life as a reality creator, as someone who can actually change this planet, is very amazingly actually within your own consciousness. If you have the ability to figure out how to find joy in your own consciousness, no matter what's going on around you, that's actually the most powerful thing that you can do. And so in Unicult, we focus on that joy and that authenticity. We believe that by following an authentic path of truth, the truth of your heart, we believe that by standing up against these expectations, these societal and parental expectations from other people to say, you have to be this certain way, you have to present yourself in this way. There's even so much shaming that goes on that tries to get people to behave and act in certain ways. And if we have the confidence, the radical self-love to stand up and be who we really are, despite all of the trolls, all of the haters, all of the people telling us that we're crazy or whatever, and we align ourselves with love for ourselves and for others, that we enter into a state of love which is actually in flow and in harmony with the highest good of all. That's the highest good of ourselves and the highest good of the planet. So I get called names every day. I get called crazy. I just had a comment today that I was, trying to set up Cam Church, and someone said, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. There's things that come at me constantly, and I don't care. I just root myself in love, and this is all their own fear attempting to shame me into being something I'm not. I'm shining authentically. And for people who are not shining authentically, it's very scary. They want people to shrink. They want other people to do what they know is they're supposed to do to keep them safe. You're supposed to be afraid and be mean and do things in a certain way and not be and do anything you can to not be called crazy or weird. You gotta fit in. And there's so much energy exhausted trying to fit into a place where you're never gonna make anybody upset. But the truth is, that's just not possible. And if you live your life in fear, tiptoeing around everybody, trying to make sure no one is upset, no one thinks you're ugly, no one thinks you're mean, no one thinks you're bad, no one thinks you're weird or crazy, the only option really, if you follow that path, is to die. Because at some point you will trigger someone else. Your existence will trigger other people. And that's okay. It's not a bad thing. And it's uncomfortable to take on someone else's energy, which they direct at you. If someone's calling you crazy or ugly, they're taking their own insecurity and they're trying desperately to put it off onto you. They're trying desperately for you to carry it for them because they don't want to hold it anymore. But if you can see that they're actually filled with that energy of insecurity and of fear, you can recognize that you don't need to hold it for them, and you can just bless them and send them love. So being aligned with joy is about having the self-love, having the self-confidence to know that you are in control of your own energy, knowing that your connection to your unique truth, as weird as it is, whatever, is divine. And your ability to root yourself in that energy and connect with who you really are and what you're really meant to be doing on this planet and with your life energy is up to you. It's not up to anybody else. So joy, we say, it isn't just about being in this happy way of being. Joy, we say it, especially at the beginning on your path to joy, is about experiencing all authentic emotions. If you're someone who was raised female, you know that you're not really allowed to have emotional outbursts. You're not really allowed to take up space. You have to be quiet and you have to just make other people comfortable. That's something that pretty much everyone who's raised female takes on societally as their role in society. And as you enter into this way of being where you are connected to your truth, you might find, I don't want to be quiet or small. I want to take up space and I want a rough house. And I'm angry that anyone ever told me that I had to fit into that box. And so you might become very angry and you might get kind of, loud and you might stomp around a little bit. And that is authentic joy. If you keep following your heart and you keep listening to what you truly want, eventually you will then exit out of that state of anger and you will rise up into a state of unconditional love and understanding. So there's a journey here, there's a path here of cynicism that turns into hopefulness, that then we transmute our energy and we end up eventually arriving in this state of unconditional love and harmony, which is beneficial for everyone around us. It really makes our whole life just paradise because we are in a state of confidence and love, and we actually offer that up to other people. So at the beginning, authentic joy in Unicult is recognized as every authentic emotion. If you are authentically feeling frustrated at someone, or you are authentically feeling angry, or you're authentically feeling sad, like think about all the lost years of not being able to do something. You know, for me, it's like engineering and electronics. Think about all the lost years I didn't have because of how I was raised and the expectations put on me because of my perceived gender. I get sad about that sometimes, and that's authentic joy, because what it's doing is it's allowing me to process my emotions. We say that in the Unicult we call it transmutation. In the spiritual community, it's called shadow work, and it's this idea of actually feeling what you feel about all of this stuff and processing it. It's about being upset. It's about being angry. It's about grieving for that which you lost. And you get to just process all those emotions, and eventually, if you continue on the spiritual path, if you continue on the path to joy, if you continue believing in the spirit of uni and letting the spirit of uni guide your life into a higher way of being, you will eventually rise out of those more negative ways, more negative, dense emotional realities, and eventually your joy, your authentic feeling, will actually become a higher vibrational reality, in which case you actually just feel good. The goal of life is to feel good. That's kind of the only thing that we have the most control over, is how do we find a place where we can heal? How do we find a place where we can look at the world and send love to it and feel like the world is sending love to us? I know for me, when I was very depressed, I couldn't even conceptualize of that. The idea that I could just feel the energy of joy and peace and love and feel that that was happening all around me completely didn't feel possible. It felt like that would be some kind of delusional, insane reality. I thought I would have to be brain dead for that reality to exist. So I understand if you're in that state and you're depressed and you think that what I'm talking about seems far away from your reality. But I've been on this path for many years, and I've slowly integrated higher and higher understandings of reality, and I've slowly transmuted my own emotional energy and my own relationship with everything in my life to be coming from a state of confidence and security and love and unconditional love and understanding that had to start within myself, and then eventually I was able to put that out onto other people and say, wow, I think you're being really mean, but I see that that's because you're in pain, and I love you. And I love this whole world. And that's, and you see, wow, this world is really quite a mess. And there's a lot going on that's very dramatic and very extreme. But you find the unconditional love for it, and you see that everyone is just simply extraordinarily confused. So, the idea that you can be happy and the idea that you can live in a state of near constant joy isn't about everyone being nice to you. It isn't about having a bunch of success, however you define it. It's actually about transmuting your own internal state and glorifying your authentic emotions and feeling them and allowing yourself to feel them. Through the glorification of the authentic emotion, you will naturally rise into a state of a higher way of being if that is your goal. Are there any questions? Thank you all for joining me here. This has been the second chapter of Fundamentals of Unicult. If you don't have this book in your library, you need it. You can get it on Unicult Supply Co., where we also have many other wonderful tools for you to use for your ascension. And remember that we have uni brunch afterwards. All are welcome, even if you're not an official member. So I will link that below in this video description. Erin asks, how and where can we look for joy when we feel depleted? That's a great question. In that case, I would say you get to tune into your own internal compass. You get to tune into your own feeling of where your energy might want to reside that will bring your energy up. Sometimes that can be watching TV. Sometimes that can be praying to the highest divinity. For me, that works very well. If I'm in a state of grumpiness or negativity or density and I need to align myself with more trust and more joy, and that's really what I want, Then I lay down and I do my meditations, I do my prayers, I call out to the highest light. 100% of the time I feel better after doing that. 100% of the time. Are people always angry are people who are angry always experiencing joy? No. I think there's an anger that comes from injustice. And when you feel that injustice, then you get angry, generally speaking. And I think that that's a very pure anger. An anger of feeling like someone else, yeah, you're right. I mean, it is all if it is all authentic emotion, yes, but you have to understand that your own energy, if you're taking someone else's energy and you're saying, you made me angry, then it's not your emotion, right? You're assuming that someone else is making you angry. If you can take a different approach, if you can take a different understanding about your anger, and you can say, I am angry because my boundaries are being crossed, or because this is unjust, what's happening, or I'm putting up with something I shouldn't be putting up with, or I need to change my reality. That's definitely a much, much, much more joyous anger than one that's just victimized. Because the victimized anger is going to, you're not taking responsibility. It's not your emotion. You're assuming someone else made you feel that emotion. So when you see all these emotions happening inside your body, if you see them as your own responsibility, then it's a joyous emotion because you're going to be taking responsibility for it and you're going to be digging deep to understand it. If you feel the victimized understanding of the world and you feel like other people are making you feel things, you're not going to be following the path to joy because you're going to be continuously blaming other people for your problems. That doesn't mean you shouldn't set boundaries. That doesn't mean you shouldn't protect yourself. That doesn't mean you shouldn't stand up for yourself. That doesn't mean you shouldn't get out of bad situations. Absolutely you should. But that energy has to come from your own understanding. We can't change other people. We can't expect other people to treat us with respect if we don't treat ourselves with enough respect to not allow it. So a lot of it comes with boundaries. A lot of it comes with loving the self and taking on the energy and the understanding first and foremost of who you are and what your responsibility is. And then when you take that responsibility, instead of becoming a victim, then yes, you're empowered to be on the path to joy. And that comes from radical self-love. Okay, stay tuned. I'm going to link Uni Brunch in this video, and we hope to see you all there. Uni bless. I'm going to actually wait to do it because I'm afraid once I stop the video, it'll be hard for you to find because sometimes it doesn't link right away. Feel free to ask some more questions if you want while you're waiting for this link to come at you. I'm going to schedule the Zoom meeting for us to have Uni Brunch. Uni bless, Uni bless. I'm very excited. Uni Brunch is a great place for everyone to meet and hang out. And we have some Unicult members and we have people who aren't Unicult members who generally show up. It's a good time for all. Thank you all for being positive and being on the path to joy. It's very special. How easy it is to stay in cynicism. What can we do for people? What can we do for people we feel are? Oh, if they're stuck in cynicism? I mean, part of the benefit of being on the path to joy is that you understand that it's just the first step on the path to joy. If you don't want to move on from cynicism and you want to stay in that energy, then you just experience that emotion over and over again. And it can be very hard for you, and it can be very hard for all the people around you. So for other people, I mean, all you can do is try to show them, hey, you can move on from this emotion. You know, you can actually start to see, you can give them like examples of your own energy, being in a higher state of being. But okay, I'm got the invite. It's coming. It's a tough question, honestly. We can't really help other people. We can lead them, like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You know? We'll see you all there. Uni bless.